Good evening, everyone. I'm Chief of Police Pamela A. Smith of the Metropolitan Police Department here in Washington, D.C. I'm joined today by United States Attorney Matt Graves and Dave Sundberg from the Washington Field Office, FBI Washington Field Office. Overnight, our detectives, in close coordination with our law enforcement partners at the FBI's Washington Field Office and the United States Attorney's Office, executed 3 search warrants related to a series of armed robberies at the Walgreens here in Chinatown. Those search warrants resulted in the arrest of 2 suspects pursuant to United States District Court arrest warrants: 33-year-old Michael Robinson, a Walgreens manager, and his nephew, 26-year-old Gianni Robinson. Both face charges of conspiracy to interfere with interstate commerce by robbery. Let me explain what I can about how this investigation has unfolded in the last 48 hours. Sunday night, an armed suspect entered the Walgreens and followed a special police officer into a back room where he disarmed the SPO and attempted to rob the business. A second SPO was alerted to the robbery in progress and engaged the suspect, firing their weapon and striking the suspect. That suspect is being treated for serious injuries. He has been identified as 24-year-old Kamanye Williams of Northwest Washington. He'll face charges for Sunday's armed robbery and 6 previous armed robberies at this Walgreens dating back to July. That's nearly 1 armed robbery a month inside the location. Our first district detectives linked these cases together and partnered with agencies from the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Washington Field Office Violent Crimes Task Force while conducting this investigation. In each offense, Williams entered a back room inside the Walgreens and waited for an employee to enter the room before committing the robbery. Detectives have video evidence showing the suspect leaving the Walgreens through the same door in each offense. After Sunday night's incident, our detectives and our partners at the FBI accelerated their investigation into this pattern of armed robberies, leading to last night's search warrants. 3 searches were executed simultaneously at addresses here in the District of Columbia and in Maryland. Our investigation uncovered that Kamanye Williams working with store manager Michael Robinson during 4 of the armed robberies. In these cases, Williams made phone calls to Michael and Gianni Robinson before and after the robberies were committed. Video evidence shows Williams and Gianni Robinson together shortly before a January robbery. A total of 4 firearms, multiple magazines, and a bulletproof vest were seized at the locations of Michael and Gianni Robinson's arrests. This investigation is not over. We will continue to work with our partners to uncover the full extent of this conspiracy. I also want to take a moment to speak again to the Chinatown community. I've heard from you about your concerns about incidents in this area, and I know these robberies disrupted a business that is a lifeline to its customers. That's why we work, our detectives and partners, that's why the work that our partners and investigators are doing is so vital and critical. We've dismantled a conspiracy that invoked fear in the community and repeatedly took away the community's sense of safety. It's another example of a small group of suspects returning over and over to target the same area. I spoke in this room yesterday about our commitment to this neighborhood, and today's announcement is another reminder that we will use every tool in our toolbox to keep our communities safe. This case is an example of what we can accomplish through the hard work of our detectives, federal and law enforcement partners. Thank you again to the FBI Washington Field Office Violent Crimes Task Force and the United States Attorney's Office for their commitment to public safety and partnership. I will turn it over now to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, David Sundberg, for more information with regards to his agency's support in this investigation.
Thank you, Chief Smith. I'm Dave Sundberg, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Washington Field Office. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today alongside our partners as we announce these arrests. As the Chief said, the defendants allegedly conspired to rob the Walgreens right next door to us. One of these defendants worked at the store, and together they used the knowledge he gained from his position to carry out these robberies. They're responsible for multiple robberies at this store both this year and last. The defendants may have targeted this one business, but their actions affect the whole neighborhood, creating a sense of fear and unease among business owners and community members. Partnership is the key to combating violent crime, in this district, and the charges announced today are the direct result of a collaboration between the Metropolitan Police Department, the United States Attorney's Office, and the FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force. The FBI and our federal and local partners share the same goal: to make our communities safer. Whether we're looking at traditional armed robberies or an inside job, we'll continue to work together to bring violent criminals to justice and protect the nation's capital. The people who live here, the people who work here, and the people who come to visit this historic city. I'd like to introduce United States Attorney Matt Graves.
Thank you, Assistant Director in Charge Sundberg. It's a pleasure to join you and Chief Smith in announcing today's law enforcement actions. Today we announced that charges have been filed against 3 individuals who are allegedly involved in a series of pattern robberies at the same store here in Chinatown. These charges, obtained in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, provide yet another example of how to conduct an effective, tailored investigation. We and our law enforcement partners noticed, while that the high-level data depicted a picture of growing robberies of commercial establishments in the area, a deeper dive of the data showed that incidents at one store played an outsized role in the trend. From there, we focused on the store specifically, as opposed to some general investigation of violent crime in the area. That focus allowed us and our law enforcement partners to develop an investigative plan designed to get at the heart of the problem. When it comes to developing investigative plans, the good news is that there's an immense amount of data that can help identify suspects. To get some of the most helpful data, though, law enforcement needs legal process. That is where our office comes in. It is increasingly the case that whenever there is an investigation of any complexity, we are working those cases side by side with our law enforcement partners. This case is just the latest example of the collaboration, coordination, and extensive efforts between and among the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Metropolitan Police Department, and the FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force. This case also illustrates, as has been previously noted by other speakers, how a relatively few number of individuals can be responsible for a disproportionate amount of violence and criminal activity in a neighborhood. There were 8 robberies at the store. To date, we have charged a single group of individuals with committing half of them, with an inside actor allegedly helping to orchestrate the entire robbery conspiracy. Removing the limited number of people driving violence in our community can have a substantial impact on crime trends. My office continues to be committed to working with local and federal partners to investigate, prosecute, and seek to hold accountable those that commit acts of violence in our city. We are grateful to the FBI, the Metropolitan Police Department, and our other law enforcement partners for their continuing partnership in this fight. Thank you.
Okay, I'll open up the floor for any questions you might have for either one of us.
Hi, Mike Murillo with WTOP. Thanks for taking our questions. Can you talk a bit about how you discovered the manager was involved here? What's his connection to the others here?
Should I answer that? You can go ahead and answer.
So we're obviously limited at this point to what's in the public record. I think what's reflected in the public record and their arrest affidavits is lace out the connections between the manager and one of the alleged co-conspirators is the nephew, how they knew the third individual, Kamanye Williams, and the connection to the fourth individual as well. A lot of this was painstakingly put together through a legal process where we got, as is evidenced by the charging documents court, a voluminous amount of records that shows the connectivity among all the individuals.
And I guess one follow-up. So can you talk to what led to making this connection? What information led to making this connection?
We don't have those documents yet.
Yeah, that's why
We have not been able to see the public documents. So if you could just tell us what is in the public documents, that would be great.
Sorry. Since they had their initial appearances this afternoon, I assumed that all of that had been unsealed. So I think what those records reflect and show pictures of is that the individual who is actually physically conducted the robberies, who allegedly physically conducted the robberies, looking at his phone when entering a code into the manager's office, which obviously raised questions and led to good old-fashioned investigative work in terms of kind of pulling the process that I was talking about in developing connections among people.
John Rogers, WJLA. You know, obviously this is a big victory, but there's still so many reported crimes in this area. Are there going to be expected more team-ups between local and federal authorities to try to curb down this?
We've been in partnership with our federal agencies for quite some time. I know for the last 6 months since I've been in this space, and even before. Anytime we have a particular crime of this volume, we will always partner and use every resource that we have available in order to apprehend the suspects that's engaged in this activity.
Are you hoping that this can provide some comfort to the community that's nervous and
Absolutely.
worried about the future of Chinatown?
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Oh.
Just two clarifying questions. So was this investigation going on before the robbery that happened over the weekend?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and then was it 3 or 4 suspects that have been arrested? I thought U.S. Attorney Graves said a 4th suspect was linked. So was there 3 suspects arrested or 4 for this?
I think it's 3, but 3 suspects arrested. The charging documents reference a 4th individual.
Do you expect to have that 4th person arrested?
So we're announcing today the arrest of the 3 individuals.
Oh, thank you.
Well, one more follow-up. Do we suspect this group has done other? Is it just secluded, just at the Walgreens we're looking at, or could there be other armed robberies that this group is involved in potentially?
So what I can say now is, as the chief said, the investigation is not over. We've gone through enough data at this point that we are comfortable going forward with charging, but there's a lot of data that remains to be reviewed, including data that was just recovered last night, and we will go wherever the evidence leads. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.